Triston Casas was placed on the injured list over the weekend, but it's not looking good for the young stud moving forward.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast, and I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And I haven't even told you the best part yet. It's free. That's right. Who doesn't love free? So if anything's free, why not take advantage of it, right? So might as well check out Locked On Red Sox. Start your day off the right way. Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Locked On Red Sox. And for some reason, Monday's off day felt like an eternity. It's getting to that point in the season now where I just really don't like when the Red Sox have off days. And I think it's especially because they are coming off of a nice sweep of the Pirates over the weekend. So they made me feel good and they're making me ready to watch some Red Sox baseball again. And I've always been this way. Off days to me just seem like such a drag. I like having Red Sox baseball on nearly every day. Wish it could be every single day, but I do understand that the team needs its rest. It's very important. And the Red Sox are going into a series against Cleveland, and they struggled against the Guardians when they played at Fenway. So hopefully they can redeem themselves and look better against them on the road. So far, they have looked significantly better on the road as a whole this year than they have at home generally. So I'm hoping they can carry that over into this series and feel good about things after the series. So relative to other teams, the Red Sox are looking pretty good. I mean, they have the best ERA in baseball among their starting pitchers, and they are overall making things work, even though they have quite a few injuries and they have players who on defense have been struggling. They've really been able to overcome those and keep themselves over 500. They are not the only ones in their division above 500. Actually, all 5 teams in their division are at that point right now. Just goes to show that this division is once again competitive. And I'm wondering whether the Red Sox can keep up with everybody else. And one reason why I'm concerned about their ability to keep up is Triston Casas. Now, he had to exit the game early on Saturday because he was experiencing some tightness in his rib cage. So he then had to leave the game, and then on Sunday was placed on the injured list. And then he underwent an MRI on his left rib cage strain on Monday in Boston. And after further imaging, the expectation remains that he'll be out for a while at this point. That's very much not good news. Casas was hitting well at the plate. His batting average was a .244. He had 6 home runs and 19 hits over 78 at-bats on the season so far. He had 12 runs scored, 10 RBIs, and an on-base percentage of .344, slugging percentage of .513, and OPS of .857. So he was definitely somebody who we could count on offensively. And I was excited to see his growth moving forward and the way he continues to carry over the confidence he gained last season into this season. And unfortunately now it's not looking promising that he'll come back soon. And that's definitely a blow to a team that already is banged up with injuries. It just seems to be continuing to pile up here. And the thing is that I don't feel confident that the Red Sox will go externally to find an option to replace him. they've been making things work with the second base and shortstop situations with Vaughn Grisham and Trevor Story being out. And I don't feel like they see that they have a reason to go externally to replace Casas at first base either. I'm thinking likely what they'll do is they'll just stick to what they have and at least for now not seek any outside help. It's a time period where we're getting close to May, which is crazy to believe. Things are going by so fast, but there are a number of players around the league that have May 1st opt-outs, so that could be a time when the Red Sox decide to pursue some of their needs. But for now, at least, the plan seems to be they're going to stand pat, probably utilize Bobby Dahlbeck heavily at first base, and hope that that goes well. I mean, Bobby just has really struggled a lot here in Boston. I mean, he did get his first hit of the season over the weekend, and that was a miracle. But overall, he's just not making contact with the ball, not seeing it well at all. And it's tough to see that because he probably had so much confidence at one point, and to see that all diminish because the Red Sox are not doing him any favors and are keeping him here when this clearly isn't the right place for him is just really not fair. And I personally feel for him because I feel like he deserves better and deserves to be in an organization where he can maybe contribute more and have more of a consistent spot on the roster. But he really is utilized as a puppet for the Red Sox when there's an injury and he gets called up, and then he'll get sent back down when players come back from injury. So because Casas is now on the IL, that likely means more time with Dahlbeck in the games, and it really is going to start becoming increasingly difficult for the Red Sox to win games if guys are still injured, because they already didn't have a lot of depth to begin with, and that depth is really being tested now. They're definitely finding ways to make it work and ways to win games, and I would say Wilyer Abreu heating up at the plate is a big reason for that. The catching tandem being as hot as they are, Jarren Duran continuing to hit. You could point to a number of factors that has led to them winning games and staying over 500 and staying afloat, if you will. But there are definitely some things that they're going to struggle with. And defense, I'm looking at as something that's going to continue to struggle. And if you're replacing Triston Casas' bat with Bobby Dahlbeck's bat, that's tough. That's a tough thing to wrap my head around and feel good about, because there's a huge difference in numbers and ability levels for those two guys. And obviously there's nothing the Red Sox can really do about it. Injuries happen. They are there and they exist. But when injuries do happen, it's about how the Red Sox respond. And I think they're just committed to whatever happens this year happens. And if it has to be a rebuild year, it has to be a rebuild year. And then we focus on 2025. I don't think they're interested in making any big moves to fill some of these holes when players do go down, because I think if their intention was to do that, they would have tried to do that when Story got injured and they found out that he was going to be missing the entirety of the season. Hopefully that won't be the case for Casas. It doesn't sound very promising right now, but hopefully things will end up being a little bit less serious than what they're making it out to be, and he can return sooner, because he definitely has this appeal about him right now that is very upset and just not feeling very good, because he loves being out there and he loves playing, and it can't be fun for him to know that he's injured and might not be able to touch a baseball for a while. It's just definitely tough and self-deprecating on him. And also when it comes to the rest of the clubhouse, I mean, look at everybody else and the way this Red Sox team has been trying to stay motivated and make it work. And when I had Reese McGuire on the show the other day and he was talking about the general clubhouse vibes this year, I mean, those injuries made a big impact on them, and he said it kind of made them out of sorts in a way. And the more injuries that do happen, the more it's going to impact that overall clubhouse vibe. So Casas, a key player who has really started to produce more and more offensively over the last couple seasons. It's very upsetting that he's going down this way and that we don't know when the next time is going to be that he's going to play, especially when he was finally starting to find his place in the majors, because obviously this is really only his second full season here with the team. And the fact that he's now trying to find his way and has an injury that gets in the way of that, it's definitely disappointing. But I'm hoping for the best for Casas. Hopefully, it ends up being nothing that's as serious as what they're saying it is. That would 100% be ideal. But we'll have to find out as time goes on. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who was DFA'd by the Red Sox recently, and it was definitely a good choice. Who's next on the chopping block? Are you ever trying to score last minute tickets for anything or looking for a way to get tickets at a very reasonable price? Game Time is a place that will absolutely have you covered. What's great about Game Time is it really does offer you the cheapest prices relative to other ticket vendors, and it shows you the view from your seats so you can be reassured that you're getting seats that have a good view and that you're happy with. That's what I love about it. I use it a lot for concert and game tickets, and it really benefits me because I'm saving a lot of money than I would on other ticket vendors. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It really truly will guarantee you that lowest price. So head to Game Time today if you're looking to go to an event soon. Are you ever struggling to feel like you have the right life insurance for you? I know finding the best life insurance policy can be extremely stressful. I've been there. It's super time consuming and overwhelming sometimes, but that's why Policygenius is here to help you. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. I'm telling you, having a guide for life insurance will absolutely save so much time and stress in your life, so definitely take advantage of that. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Definitely very exciting for Locked On, so check that out today. The Boston Red Sox have officially DFA'd hurler Joe Jacques, which was a good decision in the grand scheme of things. He didn't make a huge impact last year when he was called up, and he made one appearance this year and pitched 1 2/3 innings against the Cleveland Guardians, and he allowed 1 earned run. Although he was just called up, the Red Sox decided they don't really have a need for him anymore, so they designated him for assignment after just that one outing. Definitely a short leash he was on, and it seemed to me like a placeholder. They were just using him to pitch until guys would start being able to come back from injury, or they found another pitcher who was more suitable to do that job. Jacques was selected by the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 33rd round of the 2018 Major League Baseball June amateur draft out of Manhattan College. He worked his way up through the Pirates farm system and made it all the way to the AAA Indianapolis Indians. Pittsburgh didn't protect him from selection in the Rule 5 draft, and Boston selected him ahead of the 2023 season. He shined in the minors. He compiled an ERA of 2.54 and 35-13 strikeout to walk ratio in 39 innings pitched with the Worcester Red Sox, and then he earned his first promotion to the big leagues. Last season, Jakes did appear in 23 games with Boston and had a 5.06 ERA and 20-10 strikeout to walk ratio in 26 and two-thirds innings pitched. So he definitely degressed when he got called up from the majors compared to what he was doing in the minors. And I understand the Red Sox seeing how he performed in the minors and saying, okay, let's give him a chance. Let's see if he can show that he deserves a spot on this major league roster. And then he came up last year and didn't really have it together and struggled a lot out there. So then the Red Sox gave him another chance this year and it didn't work out. He was DFA'd after just one outing. So basically, now that he's been designated for assignment, other clubs have 1 week to place a waiver claim on him. And if he goes unclaimed, he could either return to the Red Sox farm system or possibly enter free agency. But that's up to him. That'll be whatever he wants to do. And if he returns to the Red Sox farm system, they likely won't call him up again because since they decided to DFA him in the first place, that means they were willing to let go of him, which means they didn't really see a spot for him to begin with. So that part will be up to him if he goes unclaimed. But we'll see what happens in the next week. Either way, I hope he finds success somewhere. He definitely wasn't really in the best situation to succeed in Boston, just thrown into a lot of circumstances because of injuries last year, and might have been in a situation where he just felt like there was a lot of pressure on him to perform. And again, a place like Boston is a tough place to play baseball. A huge fan crowd, just a really good environment to be in, but can be very intense for a player who's not used to that. So Jake's, when he got called up, maybe had some nerves, I'm sure, and just never really could find a consistent way of pitching successfully up at the major league level. So I guess the Red Sox had seen enough from him after one outing this year. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure somebody will claim him, and hopefully he can pitch better and contribute in a positive manner elsewhere so that he and everybody else around him is happy. And speaking of DFAs, what about Joely Rodriguez next? I mean, he has had such a frustrating season with Boston. 563 earned run average, 0-1 record over 9 games pitched. He's only pitched 8 innings and recorded 9 strikeouts. So he hasn't pitched that much, but my gosh, it's frustrating. I mean, he goes in there and he struggles. He doesn't have a lot of command. He doesn't have an awareness of what he should be throwing when, and he gets himself into these messes on the bases and has to then pick it up, or the Red Sox need to bring in another pitcher to pick it up. So if the Red Sox were willing to DFA Jake so quickly, why not DFA Rodriguez too? Because honestly, I'm kind of over that experiment. He has not really pitched that well. And one reason why I could think of that they haven't decided to DFA him is because of the lack of lefty versatility in the bullpen. And they're really just relying on him and Brennan Bernardino primarily as lefties out of the bullpen right now. And especially with the pitching injuries, maybe they feel like it's necessary to have Joely around just in case, as a safety net and a depth piece. So they probably won't DFA him right now. I wish that they could, just because I just feel like he's been struggling a lot and I don't trust him at all in high leverage situations, and the Red Sox need pitchers that they can trust in high leverage. So I'm not seeing that. However, with the injuries, I could see them not necessarily parting ways with him because I feel like they might need him in that bullpen. But that's another player that I was thinking of as somebody who the Red Sox probably should look to move at some point, whether that's a DFA or a trade or just straight up releasing him. He just has been struggling, and we'll see if he can turn things around. I'm definitely not one to say it definitely won't happen and he can't turn things around. But until he does, I'm still on the train of, okay, why is Joely Rodriguez still here? Every time he steps out there, I don't get any more pleased with his performance. I don't see anything else that makes me feel optimistic about him as a pitcher. He just gets himself into a lot of messes on the bases, and it's hard for him to get out of those messes. So maybe that's a move they make down the road. I just think right now, with the continuous injuries that are piling up for this team, they kind of need to utilize their resources when they have them. So to me, he's a resource that the Red Sox need right now, regardless of if he's good or not. And it's tough because the Red Sox are very much in a situation where they can't afford any more injuries because they have the lack of depth, but some of those depth options are not very good. And Joely falls into that category of depth options that aren't very good. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what choice do they have? If they have a guy out there who at least has experience and can pitch and can stay healthy, that's kind of what this team needs right now. And I'm hoping for the returns of Nick Pivetta and Garrett Whitlock at some point. I mean, Tanner Houck's been great. Cutter Crawford's been great. Brian Bayo's been pretty good. Hopefully those guys can stay healthy too, so that the Red Sox aren't needing to really use bullpen days as much, because right now Josh Winkowski is going to be in the rotation at least for a temporary period of time. He was somebody who, going into the season, the Red Sox discussed potentially being a starter, but then they decided to keep him in the bullpen. But now with these pitching injuries, they were kind of left with no choice. So now he's going to be in the starting rotation until at least some of these other players return from injury and are able to do their job and be on the field. So this Joely Rodriguez situation is definitely tiring for me, but I understand why, especially because they're losing Winkowski's arm out of the pen temporarily. I don't think they can really afford to let anybody go right now. So Joely right now seems here to stay. Joe Jacques out the door. Hopefully he succeeds wherever he does go, because I truly feel like there's a way that he can. I just think that he was in a tough environment for him. So we'll see what happens there. But coming up, I'm going to be breaking down some way too early free agent options for the Boston Red Sox. I'll admit it, I do have a competitive side. I've been told I'm such a competitive person, and it's true. I mean, don't we all? And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now I can also heist their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. It's a lot of fun. I've always liked having games on my phone, but one that I can play with other people makes it a lot more fun. So if you don't have it yet, definitely download Monopoly Go today. Also, subscribe to Locked On Sports today, as we as a network have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is very exciting because nobody else has a 24/7 sports streaming channel. So if you're looking to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, that absolutely is the place for you. The Boston Red Sox unfortunately did recently say goodbye to Dave McCarty, a player on the 2004 Red Sox championship team. He passed away 1 week after the team's 2004 championship reunion. He was an 11-year MLB veteran and member of that curse-breaking team in 2004. He passed away on Friday due to a cardiac event. He was only 54 years old. The announcement came actually just 10 days after he was present for the 2004 team's reunion at Fenway Park, where the group had been gathered to honor the championship run and how special it was. And they also did a little tribute for Tim Wakefield, which was bringing me a lot of tears. But McCarty was present, and now he's gone. And it's very sad, truly a sad day. And a few Red Sox legends did post little messages on social media about him and their time with him. So I'm just keeping his family in my thoughts. It's very hard, I can imagine, and it seemed very sudden. So prayers up for the McCarty family. Another member of the Red Sox community gone way too soon. And it's very, very sad. The Boston Red Sox are above 500 right now and are in the middle about within their division. And they are looking to stay healthy, try to compete this year, but if not, then they'll hopefully go all in for 2025. And I'm looking at some way too early 2025 free agent options just to discuss who could be possibilities for Boston. And the most obvious one is a player who right now plays for the Boston Red Sox biggest rival in the New York Yankees, and that is Juan Soto. I mean, what team wouldn't want Juan Soto this offseason? He might re-sign with the Yankees. I'm sure they'll try to give him an extension, and they should. They'd be stupid not to. But a lot of teams are going to be throwing money at him, so I could see him not signing an extension with the Yankees before the season ends and exploring free agency and seeing what else is out there. And the Red Sox should 100% be throwing a lot of money at him. You have the chance to get one of the best outfielders in the game, and you don't cheap out in that situation. Throw the money at him and try to get him. And then if you do get him, then you could try to trade one of the younger outfielders that you feel has the least amount of potential moving forward with the team. And right now, at this moment, those outfielders' value is high. Hopefully, they can continue to play the way that they are right now for the rest of the season. Because then, if they do toss a lot of money at Soto and he decides to come here, then they can trade one of those guys and feel like they're sitting pretty in their outfield, adding Soto into the mix. Obviously, the biggest thing with that is that the Red Sox haven't really shown that they're willing to spend a lot of money on big time players of that caliber. So if that mentality doesn't change, then I don't see them even trying for Juan Soto. But it would absolutely be something that would just make too much sense for the Red Sox. Corbin Burnes is another one. I mean, he's scheduled to be a free agent after this year. I'm sure the Orioles will try to extend him as they should. This is the guy they need to make that rotation complete. Last year, they were very, very good. They won over 100 games, won the AL East, and lost in the postseason. And to me, their starting pitching was the reason that they lost when they did. They definitely needed another strong arm, and they went out and got the perfect one in Corbin Burnes. But if for some reason he becomes a free agent, there is zero, and I mean zero, reason on this planet that the Red Sox should not be aggressively going after him. I mean, they need a pitcher of that caliber to help this team. And I don't want it to be the mentality of, oh, let's wait and see how Lucas Giolito does when he comes back. Wait till he's healthy because we think he can be the guy that can help fuel this rotation. No, there can't be a we think he's the guy. There needs to be a this guy has nasty stuff and we want him to be in the front of that rotation. And granted, guys like Cutter Crawford and Tanner Houck, like I mentioned earlier, have had very good seasons. But if you could get a true ace that you know for sure is an ace in Corbin Burnes, why would you turn down that opportunity? So that's another player to me the Red Sox should absolutely go after if he is a free agent. Zach Wheeler is another one who could potentially be a free agent. I mean, the last time he was a free agent, he was all promise. And now he stands a great chance of hitting the market after receiving Cy Young Award consideration in 4 of his 5 seasons with the Phillies. But Wheeler is another solid option that you can't really go wrong with. He has very good stuff. He has a proven track record of success in the postseason. So if the Red Sox are looking for somebody that they know could bring the pressure in the moment during the postseason, Wheeler is a guy who could do that. I mean, it was similar to the Jordan Montgomery situation this offseason, although Wheeler to me is a much better pitcher overall than Montgomery, but Montgomery was a guy who had a proven track record of really just coming through when his team needed him to in the postseason and helping them win a World Series. And that's a type of guy that you want in your rotation. Somebody who shows resilience, somebody who doesn't fold under pressure and can pitch well in those big games. So Zach Wheeler is definitely an option that makes sense. Ho-Sung Kim from the Padres is supposed to be a free agent. He's very good. He is a shortstop. Technically, he and the Padres possess a mutual option for his 2025 season, so he might not reach free agency. But if he does, could be something to consider for Boston because Trevor Story's future at this point is kind of unknown. I mean, unfortunately, missing the rest of the season this year. And if he comes back next year and is healthy, then I'm sure he'll play and the Red Sox will want that. But Kim is a sure thing that could be a go-to option at shortstop, even if it's on a little bit of a cheaper deal to be there in the interim until Meyer is ready to come up. I don't think they'd want to spend a crazy amount of money on a shortstop, but I'm sure he'd be asking for something a little bit more reasonably priced. So if the Red Sox were looking for somebody who could fill a gap until Marcelo Meyer is ready to go, he could be the choice for that. Then you have Pete Alonso and Paul Goldschmidt, who also could be free agents. That doesn't really make sense to me because they do have Triston Casas, and he is the first baseman of the future. They have Devers at third base, so no need to really acquire a corner infielder during free agency, but obviously if they do acquire one of them, I mean, they're good players who will definitely affect the team in a positive way offensively. So I wouldn't complain per se, but it's not necessarily something that makes 100% sense. Willy Adames, shortstop, could be an option. I actually talked about him on an episode previously because I was talking about him as an option to potentially replace Trevor Story at shortstop right now. If he hits the market and it's not looking like Trevor Story is going to be able to come back and perform at the level that he wanted to be at and that the Red Sox wanted him to be at, then Adames could be an option on the cheap side that could serve as a bridge gap for Marcelo Meyer. So maybe the Red Sox will decide to do that and bring in somebody like that who they can commit to a 1 to 2 year deal with until Marcelo comes up and could be that bridge gap guy. And the thing with that is that a guy is going to have to be willing to be in that role and know going into it that he's in that role. And the Red Sox are not going to want to throw a ton of money out there. And he's good. He has a proven track record in the majors. So Adames might not be a bad, cheaper option. Walker Buehler is supposed to have a free agency period this upcoming offseason. And he is a very strong pitcher, but he had to go through Tommy John surgery. So the question is going to be, is his arm going to be able to be the same and be as effective as he was prior to getting injured and having the surgery? Because that's something to consider. And we'll see how he does the rest of this season. But if he has a very good season and he becomes a free agent, definitely another option for the Red Sox to be able to utilize. During free agency this upcoming season, they could really look at a lot of different positions, but they could utilize the pitching market heavily if they really feel like they want to get another starting pitcher in there, because who knows what's going to happen with Giolito. It's a question mark. And so it can't hurt to definitely explore options on the starting pitching market. And with position players, depends on who it is and where the areas of need are at the time. But for a lot of these positions, they're building their cornerstone pieces, the guys who they see being part of the future for the team at those positions. And that seems pretty set in some positions and not others. So I think there's definitely some room for some free agent acquisitions here for the Red Sox during the offseason heading into 2025. But whatever they do decide to do, one day at a time, one game at a time. We are still in April of 2024. Lots of season left to go. Hopefully the Red Sox can get a little bit healthier and try to make a run. That would be ideal. That would be so much fun for Red Sox fans if they can continue to surprise us and win some games and maybe be in the wild card conversation. Just got to keep the faith, like I always say. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.